Attention! Greetings, recruits, and welcome to the front line. I'm Major Incident, and it's from this base of operations that I've been leading our troops to victory as we attempt to liberate the Italian peninsula from the Axis invaders. Now, in the past, we've been fighting the good fight using something called personal computers, but as a brand new era of console warfare approaches, we've decided to pull you, PlayStation and Xbox owners, into the fray. So, with all that said and done, please report to Private Higton over at the training grounds, where he will run you through the basics of console warfare. Good luck, soldiers! Thanks, Major, and hello to all you new recruits out there. Now, I'm going to assume that most of you watching this video right now are doing so because you are console owners who are relative newcomers to the Company of Heroes series. You know, what with Company of Heroes 3 Console Edition here being the first console release in the series' prestigious 17-year history. So with that in mind, I'm going to give you a brief history lesson before I get into exactly how Company of Heroes 3 performs on consoles.
Rifles at the ready!
The original Company of Heroes launched on PC in 2006, and just like all the following games in the series, this real-time strategy game is set during the Second World War. The original game featured a single-player campaign that saw players commanding 2 US military units during the Battle of Normandy and the liberation of France, plus a multiplayer mode for 1 to 8 players. The game was incredibly successful, garnering multiple Game of the Year awards and a 10 out of 10 review from our website, Eurogamer.net. And so it wasn't long before 2 expansion packs were released: Company of Heroes Opposing Fronts in 2007 and Company of Heroes Tales of Valor in 2009. Real-time strategy mega fans would need to wait 4 more years before the next full game in the series was released, but in 2013 players were finally able to dig into a campaign featuring the Soviet Red Army and their battles around the Eastern Front in Company of Heroes 2. Again, the game was a huge success, and this time it was followed by 3 large expansion packs that added extra campaigns and armies to the experience. Oh, and get this, Company of Heroes is such a successful brand that it's even had its very own spin-off movie, which was very, very loosely based on the first game in the series.
I'm not leaving you!
Okay, so it was a direct-to-TV movie with a micro-budget and some incredibly questionable special effects. But where else in the world can you go to see ex-footballer turned actor Vinnie Jones waving at someone in such an enthusiastic manner? And so, all of that delicious history leads us to here, 2023, where on February the 23rd, after 10 years of waiting, PC players finally got to enjoy the newest instalment in the series. Company of Heroes 3, which is set in the Italian and North African theatres of World War II, once again proved to be a massive hit on PC, earning a coveted recommended badge in the Eurogamer review. And now, with the release of Company of Heroes 3 Console Edition, you console owners out there can finally experience what our reviewer called a big, refined and beautifully textured addition to an already brilliant series. But what exactly is the deal with Company of Heroes 3? Well, this mix of action, tactics and strategy features 2 single-player campaigns, competitive and cooperative multiplayer across 14 maps at launch, and even custom skirmishes, all of which comes together to make Company of Heroes 3 the biggest and broadest game in the franchise's history. This means that players can choose exactly how they want to play from the off, from deciding the course of the conflict in Italy to absorbing an authored journey through North Africa, or even by bypassing the narratives altogether and heading straight into the online competitive modes to see how they fare against some of the finest strategical minds that the world has to offer.
Our 4x4 has been knocked out!
Light Italian tank completely destroyed.
Ju-87, enter interface. In motion, emptying the
Now, as previously mentioned, Company of Heroes features two beefy single-player campaigns. The North African operation, which puts you in command of Rommel's Africa Corps, is your classic Company of Heroes experience, with a linear 8-mission story that features tank warfare across a variety of wide-open desert maps. While the North African campaign will give you console owners a taste of what your PC pals have been loving over the last 17 years, Company of Heroes 3's Italian campaign brings something completely new to the table with its dynamic turn-based campaign map.
That should clear out any lingering German forces. We should now use our company to capture Tropia.
This long-term and highly replayable campaign allows you to plot your own course across Italy, from landing at Calabria all the way through to the ultimate liberation of Rome, and it does this by offering players multiple paths to choose from. By assessing nearby towns and settlements in the overworld map, you can weigh up the likely military investment required to capture them and what resources capturing those territories could offer you in the long run. And then, at certain points, you'll be able to swap to more traditional Company of Heroes gameplay in order to capture and defend historically significant towns along your route to victory. This unique turn-based sandbox-styled gameplay adds multiple layers of strategic choice to what is the largest single-player campaign in the history of Company of Heroes, and because of the free-form way that these skirmishes play out, each player's war stories will be their own to tell.
We've captured Campania, Commander.
Let's tackle the Germans.
So now you know the background of the game and the strategic treats it'll offer you, you're probably wondering how a real-time strategy game like this, that has had its roots in the world of PC gaming for so long, could possibly ever work on console. RTS games are traditionally played on a PC due to the simple fact that the action is far easier to manage with a keyboard and mouse. In this footage of the PC version of Company of Heroes 3, for instance, you can see that the HUD is crowded and full of tiny little menus that the player is able to speedily click on and manage thanks to the use of a mouse. Precision like this is something that just wouldn't be possible using a controller, and this is why Relic has redesigned the game's menus from scratch to make using a controller as fast and intuitive as it would be to use a mouse and keyboard. With a couple of simple button presses, you can now easily select a unit or multiple units and then order them to attack or retreat, or you can utilise the new command wheel radial menus to quickly pull up and select useful unit-specific abilities like grenade throws, repairs, or even have someone deploy raiding flares into the fog of war so that you can scout out any unseen enemies.
Stay low, goddammit!
M29.
Along with the redesigned controls comes a completely reworked HUD too, that has been built from the ground up with you console players in mind. The UI for Company of Heroes 3 Console Edition has been completely redesigned in an effort to make it more helpful and easier to read, whilst also opening up more space for console players to watch the action unfold. This means you'll be able to see icons on the HUD for useful shortcuts for things like your battle group skills or the all-important global unit control, which is activated by pressing down on the D-pad. From here, you can easily select one or even multiple units, which means that all of your troops, no matter what their skill sets are only a couple of button presses away. It's tidier than the PC HUD, but more importantly, it's ultra efficient and it allows console players like you to manage their squads as quickly as any mouse and keyboard player.
Something about this doesn't sit right. Could be a trap. Probably is.
But still, if you are completely new to the RTS genre, like many console players probably are, it may take you a while to get your head around everything, reworked controls and HUD or not. and that's why the new tactical pause mechanic makes playing Company of Heroes 3 on console a real treat. With tactical pause, you can pause the action at any time you want and survey the battlefield from pretty much any angle you wish. Then, once you've built up a plan in your mind, you can start queuing up commands, and then you can unpause the game to watch your plan unfold in real time. Not only that, but you can also use tactical pause to build up your base and set up troop and vehicle production queues without having to worry about the battle raging on at the front lines. With a mechanic like this, you can engage the enemy at your own pace, no matter what your skill level is, or indeed how much experience you do have with RTS games. And it's the perfect way to move your army as one without leaving whole units idling in the background as you order others around.
Artillery barrage underway!
Ready? Arc that grenade!
We're zeroed! Artillery! 57 mil on the line!
Okay, so maybe you've heard all of this talk about tactics and you're thinking to yourself, oh dear, I'm actually not very tactical at all, and honestly, I don't know my flanks from my pincers at the best of times. Well, I've got some good news for you, my friends, because neither do I, and I've still been having a rip-roaring time with Company of Heroes 3. And why is that, you may be wondering? Well, when in doubt, I just flatten everything in my sight. See those Nazis in that house there? Why bother working out how to split your troops and outflank them when you can just obliterate the house and all of its occupants by simply commanding a group of engineers to explode it with a well-thrown satchel charge? Walls blocking your view? Just drive a bloody great tank right through the middle of them and give yourself a nice new vantage point. Oh, and those pesky bridges that are allowing German troops to roll in on top of heavily armoured vehicles. Just select your battle groups option and use the radial menu to quickly call in a battleship bombardment that will pepper any area you can see with an indirect barrage of shells. Kaboom! Those German troops definitely picked the wrong time to try crossing that bridge.
Okay, that's us set. Krauts won't be getting back in here anytime soon.
Relic has described Company of Heroes 3 as having living battlefields, but thanks to the fully destructible environments, when I'm through with them, the towns are levelled, the villages are reduced to craters, and the farms are burnt, ripped apart, and transformed from verdant greens to lifeless greys and ash. No environment survives a war, no matter the victor, but you can be certain that all environments will fare much worse when I'm in charge. Whoopsie! And with that, it's back to the Major for a few final words.
This is what we trained for!
Thank you, Private, much obliged. And of course, thank you to Relic and Company of Heroes for sponsoring this video. Training video, that is. Now, hopefully, Private Higton's training has not only put you in good stead for the upcoming fight, but it has also shown you that there has never been a better time than now for console players like you to finally get into the RTS genre. And with a franchise as beloved as Company of Heroes, there is no better game than Company of Heroes 3 to start that journey with. Now at ease, soldiers, tomorrow we're shipping out to the Italian peninsula and you're going to need all the rest you can get if we're going to make it all the way through to Rome. Okay, now, where was I? Oh yes, I want a unit of engineers to place demo charges on that bridge there as soon as possible. Pop that at the right time and Jerry won't know what hit them. Ha ha ha! We're gonna win.